First, I want to say thank you for joining into this video. And second, I'm going to say, let's get this thing started because I want to get right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is why purpose matters. It's just to build that foundation. We've got to understand that it matters to understand our purpose. It matters to understand who we are, what we stand for, where our values lie. All of that matters before you can really build and create all the action steps it takes to reach your destiny. Research says that adults in their 30s and above face a purpose plateau that leads to dissatisfaction. This is by a Stanford study on the idea of purpose. So when people reach that age group, we've gone through a phase in our lives when we're in our 20s, maybe in our late teens, where we had these desires. Maybe we were very athletic and we knew we were going to become athletes. Or we wanted to, be a doctor or police or whatever it was that your goals were in your 20s or in your late teens. Well, you've changed. Now you're in your late 20s, your early 30s and above, and you're a different person and you think differently. And also life has happened. So things are just different. And so what I believe happens is that we get to this age in our 30s and we start to lose what we thought our purpose was, but then we don't regain like a new direction, a new purpose. And so at that point, we reach that plateau where it's like, well, if I'm not going to make it into the NBA, I don't know what's next. I guess I'll go to college. What do I go to college for? I don't know what I want to study. Maybe I'll go get a job. I'm working. Well, you probably already had a job, but you're working, but it's not aligned with your purpose. It's not aligned with anything. It's a job that you found because you had to, because it provides for you and your family. And so we're at that point that we maybe haven't even taken the time out to decide what our purpose is and where we should really be aligned. So that's what we want to get at now. So what you could do now is identify areas of your life that you feel unfulfilled. Maybe it's a lot, maybe it's a little. You could take a self-assessment to pinpoint some of the gaps between your current life and your ideal purpose. So if you were to just kind of think about what would be ideal in my life, where would I love to be at? Best case scenario, where would my life be at? Don't limit yourself to the things you don't have, the training you don't have, the skills you don't have, the money you don't have. Don't limit yourself to those thoughts. Just imagine you had everything you needed, and then where would you be at right now? What would be perfect? And when you do that, then look at where you are right now. And you can start to find, okay, if I can see the future, but I'm where I'm at in the present, what needs to be done to fill that gap? Next thing you want to do is learn who you are. You can't accomplish anything with a lot of real purpose and satisfaction if you never really learn who you actually are. So you want to uncover your strengths and your values and your passions. There's a tool online that you could look up called the Ikigai model. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing it wrong. It's a model that kind of looks at what do you love? What are you good at and passionate at? And what does the world need? And even more so, what would they pay you for? Because we all have skills and talents that somebody would pay us to provide. We just don't always look at it that way. But if you did take a minute to look at it, you would realize that it's just true. There's something you're good at that somebody would pay for. I don't care if you're good at making cakes, you're good at decorating, maybe you're a good speaker, maybe you're a good mechanic, whatever it is. There's skills that you have that other people don't, that they would love to pay you for. So you could take a look at that model and see how that can help you. And I'll put a link to that as well. Because self-awareness, according to Yale, is linked to better decision-making and happiness. And when we talk about self-awareness, that's something that a lot of people lack. You can go online and find self-awareness assessments where you can learn not only where you're strong and where you're weak, but what triggers you. How do you act when you're triggered? How do other people think about you? There's a Leadership 360 assessment. How do others think about you? Because you would be surprised that you don't know what you don't know. Sometimes you would be surprised about the feedback others would give regarding you compared to the way that you see yourself. But you need to understand these things. So let's do this. Actually put pen to paper or fingers to the keyboard. Build yourself a spreadsheet or a Word document, whatever works best for you, and write down your strengths and your passions. The next thing you want to do is define your purpose. This is one that is very difficult for people sometimes because you just don't always know. And it can be almost a lifelong journey trying to get to that. I remember when I was young, when I would see somebody cry because they got accepted into college, tears of joy. Not crying because they're going to college. When you see somebody who's so passionate about a goal that they want to reach, that when they finally reach that goal, they break down in tears of joy. I've always wanted that. I've always thought that it was such an awesome thing. And I never had it. I never experienced it because I always felt like I'm not so much of an emotional person where I would get that emotional over anything. Even if I'm overwhelmed with joy, it doesn't pour out of me all the time. It stays internal. But either way, I've always wanted that thing that would bring me that much joy because I knew that I was that passionate about it. So if you can articulate in a clear way what your life purpose is right now, that would be an excellent move forward. You can use guiding questions like, what legacy do you want to leave? That's often something that moves somebody or inspires them, is like, what do you want to leave behind? Another thing is, what can you do for others? There's a tool out there that I'm going to also put a link to. There's a gentleman named Jack Canfield, and he pretty much dedicated most of his life to helping people find what success means to them and getting it. And that's basically what I want to see for people as well. And if you look him up, he has some tools and he has some videos and ways that can help you in finding out what your personal purpose is. And what you want to do is come up with a statement at the end of the day that says, my purpose is to XYZ. And that's built from a lot of different key sources. For example, your strengths, your passions, your weaknesses, the things that bring you joy, the things that excite you, the things that are lasting memories, how you were as a child. So use that and try to build your personal purpose statement. The next thing you want to do is you want to build your purpose roadmap. This is where you turn your purpose into actionable steps. So you want to use the SMART goals with this. You want to have a goal that is specific, that is measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So there's some research that was done by James Clear on habits, and he says that small wins lead to momentum. And I think that's something that we know, but we don't always take it into consideration. When we build this breakout of our steps to reach success, we want to use them as small goals, small wins. So as we start to knock these steps out, we're making good habits and we're creating small wins for ourselves. So you want to break your purpose into small, short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. Now, what kind of barriers might you have to finding this growth? A lot of times we call these barriers, as a coach at least, we call them limiting beliefs. They're challenges. It's the challenge that you create for yourself in your mind. Limiting beliefs. It's the type of mindset that you tell yourself you can't accomplish something, and you give yourself reasons why you can't accomplish it. Sometimes people talk about finances, relationships, career, fears, but all of these things, what you want to do is you want to change that limiting belief, and you want to reframe it, and you want to make it something that is more positive, and you want to start going after life. It's almost a change of mindset from sitting back and saying I can't to now sitting up and saying I will. I'll figure out a way. In the military, oftentimes we'll say it's not no, it's figuring out a way to yes. And so that's how you want to attack life. Is don't tell yourself no about things that you want to accomplish. Tell yourself I'll figure it out, and then start working at it. Have that approach that you can do anything. And of course, you'll make mistakes. You might not be able to accomplish certain things, but that's after you have tried, and that's what you want to do. The next thing you want to do is have an accountability system, but not only only accountability, but you also have to have a way of measuring success. Because you don't know, how good you're making progress if you don't have something to measure it by. So the main thing is that we want to be able to stay consistent and we want to celebrate progress. Accountability increases goal achievement by 60% according to American Society of Training and Development. So what you definitely want to make sure that you're doing is creating habits, tracking those habits, having a partner or partners that are going to hold you accountable, having somebody that's going to check on you. Maybe they know what you're after, they know what your goal is, and they can challenge you or at least remind you. Even though you don't want to have, you want to be able to remind yourself too. You want to be accountable to what you're supposed to accomplish. But if you have somebody that's on your side that can at least check on you, it always helps. So what you want to do now is set up a weekly tracking system to measure your progress. So if you set a goal that every day, first thing in the morning, I'm going to wake up and show gratitude. I'm going to say what I'm grateful for. Let's say that's the goal that you've created. Well, how are you going to measure that? At the end of the week, you want to be able to say, all right, it's been 7 days. 5 out of 7 of those days, I did it. If I do that over the course of a month, missing 2 days a week, would that be successful or not? And you have to define that. But you give yourself these key points, and it allows you to kind of go back, and maybe you have 4 or 5 of them, right? And KPIs, key performance indicators. Give yourself 4 or 5 key performance indicators so you know, okay, I have to make sure I do this X amount of times in the week. If I don't, I'm not successful. If I do, I'm successful. And then over time, you could start seeing, okay, maybe I wasn't successful sometimes, but then I got on a trend and I was successful for a long time. Or I started to see my improvement. My numbers were getting better and better. This is holding yourself accountable. This is setting yourself up for success. And the last thing you want to do is design your future. You're going to plan a life aligned with purpose and fulfillment. Research says that people with life plans are more likely to achieve long-term happiness. So, sometimes you go through life with no plan at all and you wander. And, if you don't think about it, maybe you're not realizing that this is what you're doing. You can go decades, you can go a whole life like this, kind of wandering aimlessly, ending up where you end up. But what we're trying to accomplish is actually designing a life, actually creating a purpose, creating a goal, and reaching it. So what you want to do now is write a 5-year vision statement incorporating your purpose and your goals. So you're going to say in 5 years, this is what life will be like. I will do it by doing this. And you're just going to say it. Just be blunt about it. After you've reviewed this video and you have taken the action steps that I've given you throughout the video, go on there and leave a comment and let me know how progress is going. Let me know what your challenges are. Let me know about your successes and share it so that we can build up a community of discussion about how people are really attacking this. Until the next time, I'll talk to you later.